this is Brian from ActiveMelody.com. Now I'm going to show you how to play everything that you just heard there, note for note, including the rhythm part, so the entire lead and the rhythm. But I'm going to split this lesson into 3 parts. I'm doing this a little differently now. And so in this segment we're going to learn the first part of the solo, the first half. I'm going to follow that up with another lesson which will show you how to play the second half. And then finally I'm going to show you, in the third part, I'm going to show you how to play the rhythm part. So I want you to know all of the different guitar parts that are going on in this. Now if you want to download the assets for this, you can go to ActiveMelody.com. You can download the jam tracks. There will be several versions of the jam tracks. There will be one that's missing the rhythm part, so it will be your job to fill in the rhythm. There will be one missing the lead, and so forth. So anyway, go check out the assets if you need to at ActiveMelody.com. Otherwise, let's get started on part 1. Alright, so real quick before we get started, I've had a lot of requests for country style licks, and I've always been a little intimidated to do them because I'm not a very fast player. And you know, all these guys that I love, like you know, Vince Gill or Danny Gatton or Albert Lee, any of those really fast country chicken picking players, they're just so incredibly fast and so talented. I listen to them, I'm kind of in awe. So this is sort of my version of that. I'm borrowing, you know, licks that I've heard, you know, through the years from those guys. And I'm trying to put it in sort of an easier format, so that hopefully this is something that you know, won't intimidate you. Even if you're kind of a beginner to playing lead, you should be able to play a lot of this. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. Now, if you have, you know, by the way, if you have other requests, feel free to shoot me a message on ActiveMelody.com or here on YouTube. I'm always happy to make new lessons. And this isn't the only country lesson, by the way. I'll do more. So anyway, we're in the key of A. We're going to take just the first part of the solo in this lesson. We start here in the key of A. Now the first thing that happens is I play this little lick that goes. And what I'm doing there, I'd like to break this down for you in a way. I'll show you note for note what that is, but I want to put it in context so that you can apply that to other songs that you're playing. So if you're playing lead, I want you to know how to take that and work that into something else. But let's learn it note for note first, just so we can have it as a reference. I'm starting here. I'm starting here on the 10th fret, 2nd string with my pointer finger, and then on the 4th string, I'm playing on the 11th fret. And I'm just playing those 2 strings, strings 4 and 2. And notice what's going on with the right hand. That's really important. I'm picking string 4 with a pick, and then I'm using my ring finger. You may do this with your middle finger, but I'm using my ring finger to pull the 2nd string. So I'm going like this. Now that's why it's important to hold your pick like this. You know, you hear people telling you how to hold your pick. I don't know if you can see that. A lot of guitar players, when they first start learning, they hold their pick like this, and that limits you because now you don't have this finger freed up for doing some of this, you know, this faster, you know, country style stuff. So anyway, hold your pick like this between the thumb and index finger, and then just try and grab those 2 strings. Now if you want, I have seen people do it with a pick. You can do it that way as well. You're not going to be as fast, I think, as you are, you know, using the pick and the ring finger. So that's the technique, and it's just those 2 strings walking down. And what I did there is I went from, you know, I jumped down 2 frets, so down to there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift positions. I'm going to take my middle finger and I'm going to drop it down to the 5th fret, 4th string. Notice my ring finger came off the fretboard. I'm sorry, my pointer finger came off the fretboard. I'm going to take my ring finger and push it down on the 2nd string, 5th fret, so that I'm playing those 2 notes. It's still strings 4 and 2, but the little pattern has shifted. So we were in that pattern, and that's just the same one, shifted down 2. Now we come to this pattern, both on the same fret, both you know, fingers on the same fret. And now we're going to slide that down 2 frets. So it's that same pattern. And what it sounds like together is, and And notice that I'm doing the same pattern. I'm picking with the the pick on the 4th string, and then I'm using my ring finger on string 2. And now you may, if you're having trouble at this point, you may want to just repeat that over and over again, just until you've got it down, until it's something that's comfortable. Now, I want you to pay attention to that pattern, that shift from this position to this position. So, being where the pointer finger is sort of ahead of the, is one fret behind where the middle finger is, to the one where they're both on the same frets, because you're going to see that switch happen all over the place, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. All right, so then what happens is I jump up to the to strings 1 and 3 using that same pattern that we ended there. We ended the first part on strings 2 and 4, and notice it's that middle finger, ring finger, both on the same fret. We're going to do the same thing. This time we're going to jump up to the 8th fret. And we're going to play strings 3 and 1, but using the same middle finger and ring finger. That way your fingers stay in the same shape. And that way you can just walk that down. So what you're going to do is go. And what I'm doing there is I'm going 3, 1, just moving everything down 1 fret. 3, 1, strings 3 and 1, and then we're going to come back to that same position. Remember when we started this lick where the pointer finger and the middle finger, the pointer finger was 1 fret behind. It's the same thing, but now that's on fret 5, string 1. You're my pointer finger, and my middle finger is on fret 6, string 3. So that's what I mean by that. You'll see there's this sort of switch that happens between shape A, if you will, and shape B. So if that's shape B and this is shape A, what you're going to find in a lot of this double stop stuff, notice what I'm doing there. Back to pattern A, B, 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 A, B, 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 A, B, B, B. So you start to see some repetition even on other strings. So when we started this, remember we were on strings 2 and 4. So there's A, B, B. I'm just pointing that out so that you can start to go, oh, okay, so that's how you can kind of walk up and down the neck of the guitar when you hear people going. They're not doing anything really super crazy other than you just sort of learn by your ear really and what scale or what key you're in, whether you need to be playing pattern A or B. So take that same logic. If we're in the key of G, for example, that's obviously we're shifting everything down 2 frets. So you'd start, if we're in G, you'd start this. Now we're going to go up to A, which is what the song is in. So here's how that kind of works. So that way if somebody's playing a slow blues in G, totally different style, you could do, you could do. Then it goes to the C part, you could change it up. So anyway, that's kind of how that works. So there's the first part. Now, what happens after that is I go into this little thing that goes, and that's as far as we'll get for right now. But and what I'm doing there, I'll explain it what it is note for note, then I'll try and put it in context. But I'm starting with the ring finger on the 7th fret 5th string, and I'm sliding up to the 9th fret. So just from the 7th to the 9th. Then I'm going to take my pointer finger 7th fret 4th string, then I'm going to take my ring finger back to the 9th and slide up to the 11th fret. So okay. And what you'll notice here is you're kind of creating this little box where you play on one fret and you skip a fret and then you play on the other fret. You'll see some similarities with this. Now once I come up to this 11th fret, I do a little bar here with and I do this with my ring finger. Now some people might play this with their middle finger. That's okay. My fingers are just, I don't know, that's just how I do it. So I'm going to bar really the first 4 strings with my ring finger really quickly, even though I'm only going to be playing. The only reason I'm making a bar is so I can jump up and grab string 3 on the 11th fret. So it sounds like this. See how I'm just kind of barring that to make that easier? Now, one thing I didn't mention is I'm kind of doing a hammer-on. So when I start on the 7th fret and I play the 9th fret, I'm actually hammering that on. You can pick it, doesn't matter, just whatever is easier for you. I think for me it's a little easier to hammer it on. Okay, after that, after you play the 11th fret, 3rd string, you're going to come down to the 9th fret, 3rd string, back to the 11th fret, 4th string. You're going to pick it, but then you're going to slide it down to the 9th fret. So it sounds like this. So you're just picking it once. And then you're going to come back to the 7th fret on the 4th string. And that's how that sounds. So let me play all of it up to that point. Okay. One other thing I should mention too, it just sort of dawned on me, when you play this, that little part, sort of the ending of the first part, notice when you're playing those 2 notes, what are you really doing? If you break down and you look at what you're really doing, you're just playing string 1 and 3 of the A chord. So you know if there's an A barred chord? See those two notes? So we're in the key of A. So I'm just mentioning that because it's sort of important to point out that, you know, just that's putting you back as a reference, so you know that that's sort of your root note and your root position. And if you're familiar with the blues lead course on Active Melody, I mentioned pattern 1, and so pattern 1 is kind of here. Those are 2 notes that would be in pattern 1 in the blues. Now obviously in country you're playing more major pentatonic, and in blues you're playing minor pentatonic. And I have lessons that sort of explain the difference, but anyway, that's kind of what you're doing. You're playing those 2 notes from the A chord. Now after that, what I do is I go, sounds pretty cool. So what I'm doing there, this is actually really easy to do. It's another double stop thing where you're playing 2 strings, but I use my ring finger and middle finger, and I start on the 7th fret, strings 2 and 3. So the ring finger's on 2, middle finger's on 3, and I go, I slide up 2 frets, slide up to the 9th fret. And notice what's happening with the right hand. I'm not picking that. You could pick it, but for me it's easier just to play it. I'm holding the pick obviously, but I'm just playing it with my ring finger and middle finger on my right hand. I'm going to point out something else here that in this little walk down. But so the first thing you do is you slide up to 9, then you go back to the 7th, which is where you started. Now we're going to switch positions and we're going to play string 2 and 3, but this time I'm going to play the 5th fret, string 2, and the 6th fret, string 3. So that what you have, if you think of that pattern A and B thing that I was mentioning before, or shape A and B, however you want to look at it, it's kind of happening again. This time though, it's happening across 2 strings that are together. There's not a middle string between them. I'm just mentioning that because you can take that same concept and run the pattern all up and down the neck using that same little pattern between sort of that A and B. So anyway, we're on the 5th fret and 6th fret, string 2 and 3. Now we're going to take that same pattern and slide that down 2 frets. So we're on fret 3 and 4, string 2 and 3. So far we have. Now we go back to the first pattern, but we're on the 2nd fret. And that's string 2 and 3. I'm going to point out again, we landed on, if you think of the A chord, down here in first position, the one where you're playing, on if the 2nd fret, strings 4, 3, and 2. So you're playing, just those 2 notes from the A chord. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking, like, oh wait, do you have to land on the chord that you... Don't put too much thought into it. That's the one thing that's important to notice when you're playing a solo. I kind of wrote this solo just out of thin air. Some of it was some influence from other people and things, but I didn't put any stock into paying attention to what chord the song was in. It all happens by your ear. It's just like humming a song. You're not putting a whole lot of thought into it, and the more licks you learn, the more you'll figure out that, hey, I can just use this one lick over and over again, and it always works. So for me, that one there, that's one I use all the time. Even if it's a slow blues in A, I'll play something like, or I'll even end the song. But it's using that same concept, so you can start to connect the dots a little bit and say, oh, that's where I hear that. Okay, so we're back. Now, what I did here was I did this walk up. I went, and for that, same sort of shapes here. It's sort of that pattern A, starting with the last one that we ended on. Then I'm coming back to frets 3 and 4 on strings 2 and 3. So it's 3rd fret, 2nd string, 4th fret, 3rd string. So now we're going to walk up one more, and then all the way back to the 5th fret and 6th fret on strings 2 and 3. And the only thing I'm doing in conjunction with that is I'm hitting this high E string. Hear that? And I'm hitting it between each of those each of those double stop notes. So it's got a little bit of a shuffle to it in the timing. It's not right on the beat. It's just a little. You can kind of feel that. This has a very I don't know, I want to say maybe a Chet Atkins kind of feel to it. And I probably got this from Chet somewhere. And then I go to this kind of cool thing that I think is kind of cool, where I go, that's very Chet. And that's really just the D part in the song. But it's kind of a cool way to play D. And all I'm doing, it's actually really easy to play. It sounds kind of funky, but I'm playing, my pointer finger is on the 4th fret, 4th string, and I use my ring finger and I put it on the 5th fret, 3rd string. And those are actually the only two. Now you could play this with, you know, fingers one, or pointer finger, middle finger. I do it with pointer finger, ring finger. Those are the only 2 fretted notes I'm playing, but I'm playing 4 notes, so I'm playing strings 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now notice 2 and 1 are just open. You're open. That's just a B note and an E note. You're open 2nd and 1st string. It creates this kind of weird clash sound. And it sounds wrong when you play it just like that. But in context, it kind of makes sense. And then what I do is I come up to this, I just slide everything up 1 fret. So I start here. By the way, just so you see what this is, if you think of the D7th chord, playing it like this, so you may have learned a C7th down in 1st position. You can move everything up 2 frets, and that becomes a D7th. Different way to do it. You're playing 2 of the notes from the D7th, because that's the D part of the song. And then I'm sliding up and going. So everything comes up. I hit the 1 note on the 4th fret and slide into place. Okay. So one other thing to mention is when I'm playing this D part. So I'm actually going, here, this is the order of the strings I'm playing. So it's 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. Notice how I'm doing it with the right hand. Picking the first one, but playing with my middle finger and ring finger, playing the rest of the notes. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're not comfortable doing the alternate, or the sort of hybrid picking with the right hand, you could do all that with your pick. You know, just down, up strokes, or however, you know, whatever's easiest. But for me, it's easier. My hand just sort of stays in place. All right, so when I come to the second part, I play this little thing where I add my pinky here on the 7th fret, 2nd string. That's the same, so it's just 4, 3, 2, 1. But then I add my pinky, 7th fret, 2nd string, and then I play that, I pick that note, the 2nd string, and then I pick the 1st string again. Okay, here's what it sounds like really slowly. Okay? So altogether that part sounds like. And then really to close out the first part of the solo is while I've got my pinky down on the 7th fret, 2nd string. By the way, use your ring finger if that's easier for you. My pinky kind of curves, so that's why I almost have to do it. Then I take, what I do is I take on that 2nd string, 7th fret, I go. And I'm just sliding from the 7th fret up to the 9th fret on the 2nd string. I'm sliding with my pinky too, by the way. Come up here and grab the 7th fret, 1st string. And then I slide back down to the 7th. And then I play the 2nd string on the 5th fret. A little vibrato. The only thing I should point out is when I'm playing, when I come up here and I hit this 7th fret 1st string, I'm hitting it on the right hand with my ring finger. So I used my pick to do the first part. That's where I grab it with my ring finger. Then slide it back down and use the pick for those 2 notes. Okay, so there's like a lot of parts there, but hopefully, you know, some of this is starting to click, and you know, even if you're not connecting all the dots, that's okay. Just try and learn the parts and see if you can fit any of these licks in to other songs. I mean, download the jam track because that'll be a great way to practice them and learn them. But you know, if you can find, well, even on Active Melody, I have lots of jam tracks in the key of A. So even like a slow blues, you could work in any of these licks, and they don't have to be in any sort of order. That's the other thing to point out, is that don't think that you have to do the same sequences I'm doing. Just think of the licks as, you know, each sort of little lick as a word, and you can make whatever sentences you want out of those words. It's just the way that I'm phrasing it. Alright, so there you go. Hopefully that was helpful to you guys. Again, feel free to always shoot me a message. I respond to every email I get. I have a hard time keeping up with a lot of them on YouTube, just because I'm starting to get a lot of videos out there. But for sure on Active Melody, you can always, you know, you can always contact me, and happy to email you back. We have forums there too, so we have other site members that that jump in and are very helpful. In fact, there's a couple of guys that are always sharing some really cool videos from you know, various different artists, you know, all these great country, or not just country, but all these great artists, and I've learned a lot actually just from other site members. So anyway, there you have it. We'll see you in the next lesson.